Hello everybody, it's Dana Sullivan, the Stampin' Chick, here with another Make It Monday! How are you today, my friends? I hope you had a fantastic weekend. To all of my U.S. friends, happy holidays, happy 4th of July. I hope you had a great Independence Day weekend. We went to a local park in a neighboring town where they do an amazing fireworks display, and we were able to set up our lawn chairs in the back of the pickup and just hang out with some ice cream and friends, and it was just so much fun. So we really had a great time, and I hope that all of you guys did too. Hey, Miss Carol, how are ya? Looks like Facebook is going to let me see some of my messages today, so I hope that it holds true through our whole Facebook Live. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you're seeing the red live button up here in the corner, that means that you are catching me live. Yay! You get to interact with me in person, sort of, and live, which is great. If the live button is not there, that means you're watching the replay. Welcome anyway. We appreciate you coming along and checking us out. And if you're watching this on YouTube later, it's definitely the replay, and I appreciate you guys watching there as well. All right, guys, thank you so much for joining me today. I have a fun project for you, and I'm featuring the In Symmetry stamp set and designer series paper. Now, let me just tell you right off the bat, this stamp set is so cool. If you have any kind of a love for Bohemian or Norwegian type of art or fabrics or anything, you are going to love the In Symmetry stamp set because it screams that kind of Baltic theme and feel to it, and I just love it. You know, there's a restaurant in Omaha, Nebraska called the Bohemian Cafe, and it was my grandmother's favorite restaurant. Now, I admit their food was a little strange and it wasn't really my cup of tea, but she absolutely loved it. And the restaurant was so cool because it had all these beautiful, bright colors and the gorgeous floral patterns that you see with the stamp set here and the designer series paper. So I smiled real big cheesy smiles when I saw this stamp set, and then when I got my hands on the designer series paper, because I could just see my Nana absolutely loving cards made with this stuff. So in appreciation of that fact, and because it's just absolutely beautiful, we're going to create a fabulous fun fold card this evening using the In Symmetry stamp set and the designer series paper. Okay, now the designer series paper is called Sweet Symmetry, and there are actually quite a few patterns here which, you know, very classic to Norwegian styles, kind of busy with florals, but you know, when you look at them individually, like, gosh, they're so beautiful. Now, if you look at them all together, you go, holy cow, that's an awful lot of everything going on at once, right? But break it down a little bit. So, for example, these right here, this designer series paper with this one would be absolutely gorgeous, right? And same thing with this. Let's go with this pattern, and this pattern would be so pretty. Now, I don't know that that's always the case for us. We'll keep going. This one with the yellow is very pretty too. And then, see, this wouldn't necessarily go so well together, but the yellow with this one, or the yellow with that one, or the coral with either one of them, or the green, you get the idea. This paper is just absolutely gorgeous. So don't look at it and go, oh my gosh, it's so busy. Yes, it is, but when you break it down, it's just gorgeous. Okay. All right. So here's our card this evening. And as you can see, it's a fancy fold with a fabulous little belly band. And when you open it up, it's a thank you card. Now, I am always in need of thank you cards, and I expect probably you are too. So I love making thank you cards any chance that I get. let's go ahead and get started with the project, shall we? All right, I'm going to set that off to the side. What you're going to need is a card base that measures 5.5 inches by 11 inches. Now, this seems like a big piece of paper, and as you can tell, this is more than just half a sheet. But the 5.5 inches is the standard card height. And then because we have these extra folds, we need the full length of cardstock. Okay, so it's 11 inches long. I'll choke myself to death. 11 inches long by 5.5 inches tall. And then we're going to do some scoring. Okay, so we'll do that. You're going to need a piece of 4 1/8 by 5 3/8 of basic white. This is going to be for the inside sentiment piece. You're going to need a piece of designer series paper that measures 3 5/8 by 5 3/8. Now you're sensing a theme here. 5 3/8 is our height, and that's because we just want a tiny little trim. Okay, so 3 5/8 by 5 3/8. And then you're going to need a piece of designer series paper that measures 1 5/8 by 3 5/8. And don't worry about memorizing these. As soon as this live is over, I'm going over to my blog and I'll be putting it all in there. So by the end of the night, you should see the project and the measurements and everything on my blog. So just sit back and relax and enjoy the show, okay? All right, now you're going to need 2 strips of 1 1/8 by 5 3/8 DSP, and that's because it's this one right here. And you know, I only have one here because when you open the card up completely, you actually see the inside flap of this one, whereas this one you don't. You just pull it straight out so you don't see it. Okay, so that's why we have one on either side here, but not one on either side here. Okay, I hope that makes sense. All right, and then I have used the Hippo Happiness bundle. It's the Hippo dies. What are they called? Hippo and Friends. There we go. Hippo and Friends dies to create the beautiful labels. So this is the largest of this shape, and this is the largest of this shape, and they're going to overlap each other like that. And then I have a piece of 1 1/2 by 9 1/2 that's going to be our belly band. And then I have a scrap of basic white cardstock that we're going to stamp and fussy cut the 2 flowers there for our label. Okay, so let me go ahead and move this stuff out of the way and bring in my Simply Scored board. All right, so we're going to be on the long side here, and we're going to score at 1 1/4, 5 1/2, and 9 1/4. Okay, so 1 1/4, 5 1/2, 9 1/4. And then we're done with the scoring. So it's really simple. And I like to go ahead and burnish that middle line first, just because this gives us the foundation of our card. And then we're going to take the side that's wider and fold it in, and then fold the smaller one right over the top of it. Okay? So now I'll do this, and I'm just burnishing my lines really well. There we go. And now we have the base of our card. Okay? All right. So now most of the card assembly is just attaching the DSP pieces. All right, and I'm going to ask you to excuse me while I use some leftover snail. I ran out of Stampin' Seal because I have been busy creating projects. And I have some on order, but it's not here yet. So bear with me. And you can see that there's just a very fine edge all the way around, and that's what we want. We'll go ahead and add some here, and I'm adding a bit more than I might normally, just because now that I realize how well Stampin' Seal attaches, I want to make sure that my snail attaches just as well. Alright, there we go. And then on this little panel, we're going to put the DSP on the front and the back. Okay, so we'll go there and there. Line it up. Now the good thing about snail is that if you mess it up, you have a hot second where you can actually pull it back off again and it doesn't rip your paper to shreds. So there is a benefit to not being quite as adhering as the Stampin' Seal is. Okay, let's bring this side over. There we go. Okay. Alright, so now when we lay it together, we have all of our Designer Series paper stuff done. And now we're going to stamp. So let me set that aside and bring in the basic white piece. And because these are photopolymer stamps, I'm going to need my Pierce mat. Okay, so let me show you the inside again. Thanks so much. And then it's got the little flower piece. And as you know, I always say no naked insides and no naked envelopes. So while I'm stamping this flower here, I'm going to go ahead and bring the design into the envelope at the same time. So let me just set that aside. And I've got my envelope as well. Okay, I'm using just jade and Calypso coral for this part. Tap, 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 not smush, smush, smush. There we go. If you watch my lives, you know the reason I'm covering the paper mostly with my hand is to try to keep my camera from autofocusing with the white paper. It tends to do that when the majority of it is showing. So let me bring this back in with the Calypso coral. Tap, tap, tap. And then stamp it just above the leaves. Okay, tap, tap, tap. There we go. Isn't that beautiful? And then for the inside, tap and touch. Okay, now I'm also going to bring in Night of Navy ink and the thanks so much sentiment. I really like this. Tap, 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 not smush, smush, smush. And then we're going to try to line this up in the middle without going wonky. And let's see how we did. Not too shabby. All right. Close my ink up here. And then I want to add some snail. And adhere it to the inside of my card. There we go. All right, and now the card base is finished, okay? Now, what I want you to do with your belly band is, I didn't have any score lines because I want it to fit nicely. Now don't look at this side because wow, that's a lot of flowers, right? Okay. What we're going to do is just wrap the band around, and I'm kind of eyeballing, you know, right about there, okay? Basically, I just want the fold Man, that turned out good. I just want the fold to be somewhere near the middle, all right? It doesn't have to be exact because we have a really wide belly band, so it's going to be really forgiving here, but that turned out like perfectly. So what I did was, it's about 1/8 of an inch away from the fold there, and then that lined up perfectly. Awesome. Okay, now I'm going to use some tear and tape. And I use tear and tape on my belly bands because I really want to make sure they have a good hold. Now, if I had my Stampin' Seal Plus, which I normally use, I wouldn't worry about it. That would be plenty strong enough. But since I'm out and I'm using some leftover snail, I want to make sure that, that what I'm using is really going to hold good. So I'm going to use some tear and tape here. And I'm putting it on the bottom of the piece that'll be on top and the top of the piece that'll be on the bottom. Okay. Alright, so this is the piece that's going to be on the bottom and the tear and tape is on top. And this is the one that's on top and the tear and tape is right here. We'll go ahead and just line them together, and we want them to be snug but not super tight. Okay, and now double check to be sure that the belly band can slide and we're good. And then we'll go ahead and assemble the rest of our belly band. Okay, so I have this piece and this piece, and we'll deal with those. And then I'm also using, where did it go? Here it is. This is this the Flowers for Everything ribbon combo pack? It has the, let me show you. It has that wide white ribbon, and it also has the Just Jade gingham ribbon. We're going to be using the Misty Moonlight and white twine. So we're going to wrap it around, and I wrapped mine twice because I wanted it to have a really nice presence, and because the twine is pretty thin, I just wrapped it twice. And then I'm going to tie a bow right here on the end. Okay, let me make sure it's not totally twisted first. There we go. Alright, so I'll tie a nice little bow right here on the end. There we go. Give it a little tug. We want nice big loops, so that's good. Alright. And now that we have that on, I want to go ahead and put some dimensionals down, and I'm putting the dimensionals on either side of the twine. Okay, so I want the twine to be sandwiched in between, and because this is a big label, I want to put multiple pieces of my little dimensionals here. I know that seems like a lot there, but I just don't want it to sag. Okay, let's pull this off. Come here, you guys. There we go. Okay, and then we're gonna put the big coral label right here in the middle. Looks good. Okay, now I need to bring in my pierce mat one more time, and I've got Bumblebee cardstock cut from this label, and I'm using some Versamark to create a soft and subtle stamped background here on the label. You can use Bumblebee ink if you'd like, but it will come up a little bit darker than the Versamark, and I wanted the Versamark to be just a nice light accent, right? So that's why I use that instead of Bumblebee ink. And I'm just going to stamp some nice little sprigs here. I really like these stamps. They're so pretty. Okay, let's bring that one that way and come across. There we go. All right. Now this one we're going to adhere directly onto the label, and the reason we're doing that is because this card is already kind of bulky and we've put dimensionals on this side, and we're getting ready to put dimensionals behind this flower to separate it from the background and the other flower. So we don't want too many layers of dimension, so we can forfeit having dimension on this one so that the others can be popped up. Okay, hope that makes sense. And just lay that right there. You see it's coming together so nicely, isn't it? All right, now this is so much fun. Okay, the big flower is very pretty and it's super easy to stamp, and unfortunately you're gonna have to fussy cut, but it's super easy to fussy cut. So let's go ahead and just ink it up good. Okay, there's that one. Give me just a second to clean this. So I'm going to stamp that same one again. In Calypso Coral. Okay, so tap, tap, tap. All right, there we go. And then on the Bumblebee one, we're going to use Night of Navy and the words, "Hey friend." And we're going to stamp right over the top of that bumblebee flower. Okay, so just stamp it. There we go. And now you're going to fussy cut these out, and they're super simple and easy. But through the magic of television, of course, I've already fussy cut, but I didn't stamp that one. Oops. So let me go ahead and stamp that right quick. And then we will be ready to adhere these to the card. Okay. There we go. Easy peasy. All right, bring in our card again. Now this piece we're going to adhere directly to our labels. So let's just add some adhesive here. I'm going to turn it kind of at a little bit of an angle, right like so. And then I'm going to use dimensionals. Well, I thought I had some cut, but that's okay. We'll go ahead and do that right quick. I like to use every scrap of my dimensionals. Those of you who follow me know I will cut every single stitch of them away from the paper. So we use them all, don't we? All right, there we go. Okay. So I'd love to know what you guys think about the In Symmetry collection. Are you a Norwegian decor person, or is it a bit too much color and ambition for you? All right, there we go. Seems like it's kind of one of those things where either you love it or you don't at all. So I'm curious to see how many of you all absolutely love it and how many of you could do without. All right, so now I have put some of the holiday rhinestones, the navy blue rhinestones, because I thought they matched really nicely. And let me grab my handy dandy take your pick tool, and I'm going to put a couple right here, and then one bigger one down here. And then we are finished. All right, there we go. What do you think, guys? Let me get this other one over here in the envelope. I love how they coordinate together so nicely. And now I have a couple of fabulous thank you cards for customers. And very nice. So, oh, Sharon says she's never cared very much for belly bands. Oh, you know, I don't use them nearly as much as I'd like to, but I do love the fact that I can put an extra something on them and it holds the card closed. It's especially wonderful for these fancy cards when they're so thick, you know, from the folds. So, all right, guys. Well, there you have it. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope that you have enjoyed this card. Now, you should know that the Symmetry paper and quite a few others are on sale this month, a 15% discount, which is huge. It makes them go from $11.50 a pack to like $9.78 a pack, which is just awesome. So anyway, you can visit my website to get more information about the DSP that's on sale, as well as purchase it, of course. And I hope that you guys will take advantage of the sale. They don't happen often, but boy, when they do, they are fabulous. All right, guys. Thank you all again so much for being here with me this evening. I hope you had a wonderful time. Until next time, my friends, stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy. I'll see you then. Bye for now.